You should know what is required to get full marks in an E question. When you walk out this door, you should be able to say, I know if I do these things, I'm going to get full marks. Okay, that's what I want you to feel like when you walk out. I want you to know how to support an argument. You might already think you know how to do that. If someone put forward an argument, how would you support that? And I want you to have kind of a generic plan, which means a plan that fits for everything for you to use in an E-type question. Now, most of you already have one of those in your head, so most of you might already be able to tick that, but I might be offering you a different version of it that you might like better. So if in any GCSE question that you're given, if you've got in the back of your mind that you're going to use this kind of scaffold that I've given you, these are kind of the building blocks for your essay. You start with giving your opinion and you explain why you think that. The examining board really like, they say, to have someone's opinion running through the whole essay rather than just being the final paragraph. Being the final paragraph is fine if you back it up really well and support it with evidence. If you start with it, then you spend most of your essay backing it up, and you're therefore accessing much higher grades. So you start with your opinion, you give 2 or 3 reasons why you think what you think, you state that there might be other opinions and explain why they might think that and support those arguments, and then you come back to your own opinion at the end and say why you still feel that what you said up here is right. Because maybe you disagree with these arguments you've given. Maybe they're in the Old Testament and you think the New Testament is more valid. Maybe you think that the arguments given here are quite weak, whereas these have got really strong biblical backup. Okay, but for whatever reason, at the end of your essay, you come back to your first statement. Make sure that you don't end up disagreeing with what you said you agree with at the end. Okay. And then this is your generic plan that you can just have in your head that you take into the exam and then apply to any question that you're given. Every question has this statement at the end of it, doesn't it? Discuss this statement. You should include different supported points of view and a personal viewpoint. You must refer to Christianity in your answer. If you do all of those things, you can get 12 out of 12. Okay? So you discuss the statement, and as you've already said, Imi, you said that you do for and against, yeah? That's discussing. I can see this point of view, but I can see that point of view. So as long as you're showing more than one point of view, you're discussing it. You should include different points of view, but they must be supported. And you must also include your personal viewpoint, which you said you might put at the end, but you said you might put at the beginning. But as long as your viewpoint is in there, and that is supported as well, then you're aiming for those very top grades. And then the last thing is, you must refer to Christianity. We were just saying, weren't we, that we mustn't answer the questions on Buddhism in the exam, just because they become for the Christianity ones. Okay, make sure that when you're choosing your question, you go to the Christianity section and not the Buddhism section, because it comes first. Then let's see. Marriage is outdated. Do you want to agree with that statement or disagree? You want to disagree. You think marriage is still a viable institution in today's society. We're going to say that marriage is actually something which should still happen today. Okay? I disagree with this statement, Storm says. This is because, can anyone give me an argument or some evidence to back up that point of view? A great argument. A really stable environment to have children so people feel secure when they're growing up. That's a great argument. Have we got any evidence that we can use in that paragraph to back up that? Is there anything in the Bible that says that's the case, that the best place for children is within a marriage? Or are we just going to rely on the argument here? God wants us to have children, and the best place for that, in your view, and you could write that, in my view, the best place for a child to grow up is within a stable, committed relationship. And marriage allows you to have that, because what? What is marriage then? It's legally binding, but from a religious point of view, is it temporary or is it permanent? Yeah, it's permanent. Great. So there's your first argument. Can anyone now then tell me another reason why you might disagree with that statement? Yeah. So the two become one. That idea of two people being committed to each other is not outdated, is it? It's something which people still strive for and people still want. A good word to use here is monogamous. One man, one woman together forever. Monogamous relationship. Yeah, lovely. And is that enough, or can anyone actually give me another reason why it's true and that marriage is still viable? Anyone got anything else? So we've said because it's a great place to have children and make them feel stable, that it's a physical union which cannot be broken. Anything else? Does anyone know the statistics of how many marriages end nowadays? No, it would appear to me that I know it's a terrible statistic that 1 in 3 marriages ends in divorce, but 2 in 3 still work. Yeah. You can say that so many people are still getting married and those marriages are still working. So you've built your argument. There is no way that marriage is outdated. You've referred to Christianity. You've given a personal point of view and you've supported it. What have we not done yet? We've done some evidence. That's right. We haven't said, however, some Christians may disagree. And you could say some Christians, or you could say some people may disagree if you've already given a Christian point of view. Can anyone give me a reason why you might argue that that's true, that marriage is outdated now? You could go down the route of the fact that marriages aren't working, but what often happens now before marriage? What's quite common? Yeah, so people are living together before they're married, aren't they? So could you argue that this is actually true because of the amount of people that live together before they're married? Yes, absolutely. So our society has become much more atheistic or much more secular, non-religious. So it might not be that people are atheist and have rejected God, but they have become less religious in the way they live their life. And therefore, that religious ceremony is no longer needed. Okay, so yes, you could definitely argue that. But are we seeing that the counter-arguments here aren't perhaps as strong as these? And that's what you're probably going to say at the end here. You're going to say, despite that, I feel that the counter-arguments here are not as strong. There's so much more evidence to say that that is wrong and that people are still getting married and that the truths of the Bible still stand today and children still feel perhaps more secure in a relationship, in a family where the parents are married. But you could counter-argue that. Do you think there are people out there, absolutely right, Ben, who are the children of unmarried parents who would argue that they feel perfectly secure and happy? Yeah. Do you think there are children out there who are the children of single parents who say, I'm perfectly happy and secure with my mum or with my dad without them being in a marriage? Yeah? So you could counter-argue the claim that marriage makes people feel secure. Because you could say that actually there are plenty of families out there that work brilliantly without a man and a woman being married. Yeah? So you can counter-argue these ones down here, but then say, but actually I'm still coming back to my opinion here.
Does it have to, when it says if marriage is outdated, does it have to mean woman?
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. What could you add in here? What kind of marriage?
Gay marriage.
You could talk about gay marriage. And you could even talk about, that's a really great idea, Storm. You could say that marriage is not outdated, it just needs to be adapted because of the recent changes in the law about civil partnerships and homosexual couples having marriages. I hadn't even thought about that. Great, great answer.